car started in 1975 when Karivardhan once persuaded me to bring my dad's special to the Nandi Hill climb. Though Dad had given me strict instructions that I cannot race until such time I finish my BE degree. But then when he was at work, Karivardhan came and convinced me to take this car to the hill. So we did one day of practice and then quietly slipped the car back into the garage and took it the next day for the race. Happened to set the new record. My dad read this in the next morning's paper, well, being happy on one side that I set a record, after which I was banned again for 3 years till such time the degree had to be completed. My name is Pratap Jayaram. I was brought up entirely in a racing environment with my father, my uncles, everybody racing, and exposed to this from a very young age. My dad introduced me to go-kart racing when I was the age of 5, and at which point they used to have regular weekend races on go-karts. I used to participate with the men and used to win by the sheer advantage of my weight. I started racing cars in Sholavaram in 1978 with a Group 2 Herald, at which point my dad was also driving, so there was for about 3 years we were doing it together. I drove the Group 2 Herald, which happened to be the fastest Herald in this country and was never beaten till 87. I drove the A1A Ambassador, which was again a very quick car. We also drove that for about 3 years till I drove that in Sholavaram and in Calcutta. We used to rally the Ambassador with Curry. After the Ambassadors, I've driven the Formula Indian for a couple of years. Drove the Dolphin in A1A and in Group 2 trim. Then drove the FISME and the McDowell 1000. I mean, we raced this. I was driving this as part of the Lakshmi Mills team. For many years, I mean, till 89, till whenever Sholavaram was there, I was there. There were two things that people used to identify. One was the competition number 36, which I carried in almost all my cars, except probably the two-seater, which was running 68. And another highlight was I used to be a fan of the John Player Special, which Senna used to drive. So all my cars were painted in black and gold. A tradition which I pride and follow even till today. In my Baleno, etc., all running still the same colors. Black and gold, competition number 36, you can be pretty sure it's Pratap Jayaram. The Group 2 Herald was one of the quickest cars, which was never beaten in Sholavaram. Its entire racing career of that Herald, it was always first place. What I can remember in lighter vein was taking a bet with B. Vijay Kumar, who used to drive the higher cc class, which was 1200 cc class, where I said with the 1000 cc class, I will beat the 1200 cc class lap time on Sholavaram. The bet was 3 days of each other's time, whenever asked for. This bet BVG still hasn't settled and he still owes me this today. The Group 2 Herald came up because my uncles used to all drive Group 2 Heralds, which, like how I said earlier, they used to race. And I wanted to try out something which wasn't being allowed to be tried on my uncle's cars. So my dad bought me a junk Herald and said, you build yourself your own car. So this was during my college time itself. So the evenings from college used to be building this car from chassis upwards. And I decided, okay, that I will build what could be a proper racing car. Decided to try out something called split Webers, which was something not heard of back then in the 70s. Did that. Had this car which was running almost a couple of seconds faster than my uncle's cars. Towards the end of this car used to be so fast that the second place car used to be almost lapped. This probably ended my uncle's racing careers. After which I switched to, like I said, the two-seaters, etc. The sequence of events those days used to be, the first week of February used to be Sholavaram. The very subsequent week, Saturday used to be Nandi Hill Climb in Bangalore, followed by the Bangalore Drag on the Sunday. I mean, we've done this year after year for many years, and it used to be always something like, what you look for. I used to be a first place in Chennai, then a first place in the Nandi Hill Climb, and first place in the drag, which I think I've done for over 13 years. I hold the hill climb record from 75 onwards, improving on my own time year after year. Started, I think, if my memory is correct, somewhere in 139 or 140. And today is currently at 122.40. I am still haven't had the opportunity to take my Reva up the hill, which I think would probably set the fastest time, which I think we can carve on stone. I'm very happy to be for having raced in an era where motorsport was sport. We were all the closest of friends. I could name quite a few: Karivardhan, Vicky Chandok, B. Vijay Kumar, Vidya Prakash, Akbar Ibrahim, towards the later stages, Leela, Anand. With these, Leela, Anand, etc., much later. We people used to race as probably the fiercest competitors on the track. And a ritual every year after Sholavaram was sitting and spending 5 or 6 hours talking about the race or joking, each having a beer or a drink. And this was a ritual we've carried on for many years. And in spite of being, if we competed in the same class, there wasn't an inch given to anybody. But at the end of the day, we used to be the closest of friends, something that is missing in today's racing. Don't know why, can't point a finger on it. My rallying career has been as a navigator. 99% of the rallies I used to navigate for Curry, where we have driven cars like the Ambassador, the Fiat, the Ford Escort, the Datsun, and the Dolphin. And if I wasn't navigating for Curry and navigating for another person, it was C.K. Jinan, where we rallied in a Fiat, have won the Rally D Endurance, etc. If I wasn't navigating for both these people, then I was competing on my own, driving, where I've driven the Group 2 Herald, the Ambassador, and the Dolphin in many rallies. Was navigated by Gautam Kadam, Murli Ima, Deepak Johari, Vinod, to name a few navigators who navigated for me. There were many rallies where we've led for quite a distance and then broken in the last stages, because those days rallies used to be about 1600 to 1700 kilometers. Today's rallies are only 100 kilometers, so I am tempted to take one more run in one of these rallies one of these days just for the heck of it. Well, if you ask me to pick one or two, incidents in the rally, what immediately comes to my mind is one where we and Curry were driving through the Nagarole forest, when we saw something which was looking like an elephant, so we immediately switched off all the lights and was crawling behind it at very slow speed, because we didn't want to, if it was an elephant, we didn't want to scare it or get it on us. Till such time we suddenly saw a red light. Then we decided it can't be an elephant, so we moved up closer. It was a lorry with a tarpaulin, which we were following with the engine off for about 10 minutes, and we have probably spent the next few minutes holding our stomach laughing for what we did. Another one incident was in the Dolphin in Bandipur. There's a temple in Bandipur that used to be regularly a competitive stage. We were going flat out when an elephant crossed the road, So we thought, okay, it passed, but then it suddenly turned and started crossing back. Where we put it crossways, the car went skidding almost up to the temple, managed to catch it, just about scraping the wall, and then continued. That was another scary incident. But the biggest of all, I would say, was when we were driving the Ford Escort. One rally, we hit a bump. I think it was the 84 K1000. The dry sump broke on the Ford Escort. Disappointed after we were leading it by over 11 minutes. We towed the car back all the way to Bangalore, to my place. And then, as soon as we reached, I barely had 5-10 minutes to take my wife to hospital, to deliver my son Sharan, today who is now doing motorcycles. Yeah, these are probably three of the biggest incidents that I can remember. Or the maximum fun we had building a kart was using an RD400. I mean, both me and Curry used to ride bikes in the street only, not for the track. So we put the RD400 engine into a go-kart and running on slicks, which was one of the quickest machines that we had driven, doing over 140, 150 mph in those days. Running probably 1 inch from the ground. That was the maximum fun we used to have. That kart, I think, now is currently with Malia.